How's it going, everyone? We've got some new information about Black Myth Wukong, and this game is shaping up to be one of the big new IPs of this year, and I've said it over and over again, one of the hardest things to do in gaming these days is to release a new IP that's a full-price $60, $70 game, AAA title that is incredibly expensive to make, and have people excited for it and ultimately deliver. I feel like that excitement is brewing very, very strongly as we're getting closer to its August release date. And remember, as far as Black Myth Wukong is concerned, for a long time, and this might just be my pessimism shining through, but it is a game that I thought was never going to see the light of day. We get games like this all the time, and sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. I am led to be more pessimistic than most, and I've seen games like Lost Soul Aside be in perpetual development hell that I'm just like, bro, when a game looks this good, it's coming from an unknown studio, I just am very, very skeptical on whether or not it'll see the light of day. But Black Myth Wukong is just a couple months away, and now I can really let myself get excited about the game. I know a lot of you guys, and we talked about this game going back to its initial announcement in 2020. It looked great back then, but it was just a game that I looked at and I was like, it's gonna be really far away. And honestly, if you told me back in 2020 that it would be out in 2024, I would be like, that's too soon. If it ever comes out, it's gonna be like 2028, and I am still skeptical it comes out. That was my thought process back then. Now, 4 years later, the end is in sight and the game is ultimately gonna be coming out soon, and we have new details coming out. A new claim regarding Black Myth Wukong is giving some new insight into what players could expect to experience when it launches in August. This comes from leaker Lunatic Ignis on Twitter. According to Ignis, Black Myth Wukong features around 160 enemy types and 80 plus bosses. They go on to say that the game will have New Game Plus at launch as well as multiple endings to experience. The game is slightly easier than a Soulsborne game, and I saw this in my comment section that a lot of people were of the mindset that hopefully it won't be as difficult or exactly the same style as a Soulsborne game. I even saw some people look at the gameplay and they were a bit off-put by the game based on it being akin to a Souls title. So, you know, I think that element will excite a lot of people. I think other people will be a little bit disappointed by it, but Lunatic Ignis specifically noted on Twitter, I decided to share some new info about Black Myth Wukong before the pre-orders are open, and the pre-orders should be opening up here shortly. The game will have New Game Plus at launch, multiple endings will be included, around 160 plus enemy types, 80 plus bosses, which is ridiculous when you think about it, and the game is slightly easier than a Soulsborne game. Again, Black Myth Wukong was revealed all the way back in 2020, so it's been quite a while since this game was initially revealed, but for a new IP coming from an unknown studio, a 4-year turnaround time is not all that bad whatsoever. You've got Insomniac revealing a Wolverine in 2021, and that game's not going to be out until 2026. Obviously, every developer, every publisher has different, thought processes when it comes to revealing a game, but based on us not knowing what those thought processes are, I am always led to believe, bro, you're selling me a bag of goods, and I don't know if this game's ever gonna come out. That's just how I approach things. If you guys think that's way too pessimistic, hey, have at it and continue to wait on Lost Soul Aside. But fingers crossed that that game actually comes out this year. I correlate Black Myth Wukong a lot to Stellar Blade, where Stellar Blade is a game that really captured a lot of people's interest, and it was a new game, a new IP from a relatively unknown studio in the console space and Shift Up, and ultimately that game is exceeding all expectations. Stellar Blade these days is more so an exception and not the rule. There are so many new IPs coming from relatively unknown studios. I always look at a Callisto Protocol, Immortals of Aveum, even a Wild Hearts, Forspoken. Those games just do not do very well, and they don't have the backing of it coming from a storied developer where you could get excited about it from that standpoint. There are obviously other new IPs from unknown developers that have done really well. I'm also talking about it from like a AAA scale, but outside of Stellar Blade, the other one that really stands out to me is Plague Tale, but it is few and far between. A lot of the times the investment these days is into your storied franchise that kind of have a concrete return on investment, and you kind of know what you're getting as far as the game's success rate, but there have been so many flops that have come out as well. Black Myth Wukong is one of those games that I think will have a lot of interest going into its release, much like Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol had a lot of interest going into its release. I think a lot of people forget that, but ultimately the game quality wasn't up to par. Black Myth Wukong, on the other hand, I think looks to be an expansive action RPG, and even if it isn't blow away in every regard, I think it is going to be a game based on the enemy types, based on how many bosses there are, certainly going to give you a quality level of content, whereas Callisto Protocol was this $70 game that had a super short campaign and they were already selling you DLC off the rip. I think Black Myth Wukong is going to have the benefit. First of all, we know that technically the game looks remarkable. Premise-wise, it's relatively captivating and unique on that front, and generally speaking, there's already an excitement level for this game built up 3 months ahead of release. So now that we have a concrete release date of August 20th, I think people are finally going to get more and more excited. And for game promotion, really, the build-up, the entire level of hype and anticipation is built on the final 2 weeks leading into its release. Sure, the nerds like me, we're gonna be in the know and we're gonna know about these games years before they come out, but 2 weeks prior to the game's launch is where you do that real final push, maybe a month before. And by the way, think it would be incredibly advantageous for Game Science to drop a demo on this game. I don't know if they're gonna do it, but I think it would be very beneficial to give people a taste of what to expect. Remember, look at Stellar Blade. How did that game's demo do? It did exceedingly well. A lot of people checked it out, and I think that sold a lot of people on the game. And Black Myth Wukong is in the better position where this is a multi-platform game. It's gonna come out on PlayStation 5, it's gonna be on Xbox, and it's gonna be on PC, so you're gonna work with a larger pool of people that are gonna check it out, and I think the game is gonna do exceedingly well on PC. And it's one of those games that I think, you know, the streamers are going to be all over and content creators are going to be continually talking about. So it's going to be beneficial for it in that regard as well. For those of you that don't know, Black Myth Wukong is an action RPG rooted in Chinese mythology. The story is based on Journey to the West, one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. You shall set out as the destined one to venture into the challenges and marvels ahead, to uncover the obscure truth beneath the veil of a glorious legend from the past. A world unseen with new sights rise with every stride. Enter a fascinating realm filled with the wonders and discoveries of Chinese ancient mythology. Remember that as far as the 80 bosses go, certainly there's going to be side content attached to it, and there will be various tales for you to explore and optional content. So as far as how many of those bosses are going to be tied to the main story, we don't know, but do expect some of them to be optional content and whatnot, much like you would expect out of a Souls title and a lot of those games. But I also think that this game is coming out at a very advantageous time period because we are heading into the summer where, generally speaking, those periods of late June into early August, absolutely dead or mostly dead for big game releases. Black Myth Wukong is going to be the first big game release kicking off that push into the fall season where you're going to have a lot of big games coming out, and Black Myth Wukong is going to be one that I think all eyes are going to be on. So it's got such a high-quality position of having everything working for it to actually pop off when it comes out on August 20th. And the more I'm hearing about it, the more I do get excited for it. So hopefully it will turn out well. We need more new IPs to pop off. We've had one in Stellar Blade earlier this year. Black Myth popping off as well would be great for the industry and really great for new gaming franchises, so that would be fantastic. The game is out on August 20th, a lot to be excited for, just a couple months away, but that'll do it for me. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.